I'm really looking forward to creating a little tonight with you guys because there are just some weeks where it becomes Wednesday and you think, is it Friday yet? And it's Friday, it's not, it's just Wednesday. And so we have a little bit more to get there, but it's really nice to just stop in the middle of the week and to create a little bit, right? So I'm really looking forward to that and looking forward to creating, of course, with you guys tonight. And we are going to be doing these cards that you see here. Hopefully you either grab some scraps of paper, and we've been promoting this specific cards, and if it's new to you, I'll kind of explain that you can find the directions, well, what papers I'm using over on the blog, and then also this free printable, which has a lot of tags on here that you can use that we will be also using on here. But other than that, you know, that's what I'm going to be using. But I do want to point out, okay, so hopefully you got the same, who's making the same cards as me? I'm just curious, like how many of you actually went and picked up the same paper because you loved the look so much? If not, if you don't have these same papers from, well, for these ones I got from Hobby Lobby, and they were just like some of the thinner papers, which I think work okay with cards, especially since we're going to back them on cardstock here in a minute. But if you don't have these same exact papers, because it really doesn't take much scraps of paper to make these adorable cards that we're going to be creating. They come together so fast. And we are going to be using the Build a Snowman tiny accessory set, okay? So other than that, you might just need another border. I'm just using Sentiments 2A, 2B, but that is it. Those are the only tiny or designer templates that we're going to be using. So if you haven't had a chance, grab your supplies. So make sure to grab Build a Snowman and these, and then the papers that we recommended on the blog for this class. If you happen to not grab the supplies yet and you're not going to be creating along with me tonight, that's okay. You can always create them later, but hopefully you still join us tonight. And again, this free printable, if you're wondering where that was over on the blog link as well. Okay, did everyone grab that? Oh, Tammy, that's okay. Come join us. And again, it's Wednesday. Let's just, you know, have a little creative therapy here for a minute and connection. I'm glad you're here with us, Tammy. Okay, if you're grabbing paper, we're not going to be using all of this paper. I'm going to be using the extra of my paper for a snap frame, but I did love the look so much and I wanted to share with you guys what I was using. But just to give you an idea of what you need to create these cards, this is pretty much, I wanted to just lay it out. So if someone's wondering how many scraps or how many different patterns and colors, this is what I used here. So, and then of course you need your card bases. So whatever you want to use as your card bases for the 3 cards. But as far as the layers go to create the different snowman pieces, basically you just need one 8.5 by 11 white cardstock for the snowman. And then depending on what colors you have, what scraps you have lying around, pick 3 patterns that you think coordinate and look cute together. And then 2 color cardstocks that work great to that. And then if you want an orange nose or a black nose or whatever nose you want, that's what this piece is for. So hopefully that gives you a visual as what that goes. We are going to create 3 of the cards tonight, okay? But if you bought all of these papers, you could probably create, well, your backgrounds might be a little bit different. Could probably create 3 sets of these out of just the paper you have. So we're going to really use up these 8.5 by 11s and create. So that would be almost 9, 10 cards. So let's get started. Okay, yes, you guys got it. Perfect. Okay, step 1. Now that we know what we're working with and you've gathered all your supplies, and it's really nice to know what designer templates you're working with, right? Because then you don't have to go reaching and pulling. You just grab what you need. we are going to start, I usually start with my card bases. So for my card base, because we are using this thinner paper, I'm going to back it onto a white cardstock base here. And to start off with that, you're going to take your 8.5 by 11 white cardstock, and we're going to cut it down to the traditional size of 5.5 inches. Okay, so I'm going to start there, and I'm going to cut those down. I'm going to do 2 sheets because we are going to be doing 3 cards. You can always use that 4th one for, of course, like I said, another card, because you can get multiple cards out of this paper. Who knows? Maybe we'll create all 9 tonight. We'll see. All right, so now that we have these cut down to 5.5, right? I'm going to stick these to the side for a moment on those sheets. I like to have my card base to kind of work on top of. You can decide if you want to do your card base last, but I'm going to fold those over like so and just create that folding card base that we can then add more layers and patterns on top of, right? Okay, everyone with me? I'm trying to go pretty easily at an easy pace so that we can all create them together for those that are creating along with me. Now, as far as the cover for the card base, if you're not one to maybe create this out of your pattern paper, then we're just going to cover the white cardstock with a top cover. And in this case, I'm using the snowflake one, the gray one, and the teal polka dot one. So here, let me give you a look at these cards again. So these 2, I decided to do on the teal background here. Although this could be really cute on the silver background. So you can, again, play to create your way and mix that up as we get to those steps. And then this one, I thought it was really cute with the snowflake background. So once we get these created, you guys, you're going to have to send them out in the mail just to brighten the world, right? Just a little bit of brighten in the world as we try to get past this winter blues into the spring season, but we still have a little bit to go. So this is the 8.5 by 11 sheets that, again, I picked up at Hobby Lobby. And so I'm just going to go to 5.5 inches and cut that down. Okay. And then we're going to go to the 8.5 width, and we're going to do 4 1/4. So go to 4 1/4 on those. And I'm just going to cut all of mine right now because I'm sure I'm going to make them all into cards, whether that's this evening or tomorrow. But for the 3 cards, we're only going to be using 2 of these. So I'm going to go ahead and put the other 2 to the side for a moment. And then on the same thing, we're going to do the same thing on the snowflake pattern. Okay, so we're going to move it to 5.5 on the 11th width, the 11-inch width, cut that down, then flip it to the 8.5-inch width and go to 4 1/4, like so. Okay, and again, you can just go ahead and make all those card bases if you want. Like I said, I think I'm gonna go ahead and do that with mine, like so. And that's gonna be our cover. Am I shadowed here? There we go. Me too, ugh, what's Margo saying? Oh, finally found this. Oh, brother, Margo, sorry guys. Okay. Okay, Lori, Vanna, Margo. Okay, start by grabbing your papers and creating your card bases. So I just took white cardstock. I'll give everyone a minute to catch up with me, and I'll quickly explain where you guys are on this. We're just going to go to 5.5 inches and we're going to cut it in half. Okay, so cut that in half to 5.5 inches, which is going to give you your 2 white card bases. Now, for those of you that are already to this step, then I'm just going to add some adhesive to the back of these and place them on top of my card base. Okay, so go ahead and do that. Trying to keep y'all going. We're going to create all of these 3 cards at the same time. So you're just going to add a little bit of adhesive. I just kind of add it to the corners and then line it up with your white card base and place that down. All right, going back to these, whoever's on this step. So go ahead and cover each of those cards really quickly while I show this. So once you cut it out 5 1/2, you're gonna end up with 2 of these, all right? And then fold it over. And that's what we're doing with these. We're creating the little card base. And then I just had them cut the teal polka dot and the snowflake, gray snowflake, and put those, cut those down. So 5 1/2 by 4 1/4 is what the size of these are to create your front mat for your cards. Okay, great way to kind of preserve and efficient use of that patterned paper as well. But again, I think that really works nice, especially like with this thinner paper. Most of the time whenever I use the thinner paper is mostly when I'm making cards. I think it actually works pretty good for cards. I don't really use it for my scrapbook pages on the thinner paper. And if I do, I usually mat it with some kind of cardstock. So, okay, so go ahead and do that. How many of you guys are to that step and have your card bases covered on those? So here, I'm gonna slide this to the left and I'm gonna do my other card bases really quickly, and I'm gonna put these right here so that we all can see what we're about to play to create here. Okay, let me go ahead and do this other one. Again, I just like to do this step first because I like to have kind of that thing to play to create on top of, to have a visual when I'm playing a canvas, I guess, basically, to lay them on top of, like so. Perfect. Okay. All right, so now that we have those laid down, we're going to grab the designer templates, and I'm just going to take each one kind of at a time here and build it up. And I'll tell you which ones I'm using. Now, if you have not used the Build a Snowman accessory set yet, it's pretty awesome. It actually comes with the little doodle sheet. So we are going to be using this. Okay, so we're going to be using the doodle sheet, which I meant to grab my black pen here. So you'll need some kind of black doodling pin. Hopefully you grab that from the list of supplies mentioned. And it has all of the different elements to basically build different snowmans. And you can see here on the back of the insert, let me pull this out so you don't have to look through the bag. Right. It does have a few different designs showing you different ways that you can layer them together. In the case of a card, we're not going to build a 3-tier snowman because it would be too big for the card, but it looks really cute on a scrapbook page. So you can see that sketch there. It has like a 3-tier snowman here and just a like a little snowman head there. That's actually really cute in the middle of that rings. That's really cute. So really fun on different projects. And like I said, I want to make a snap frame. I was hoping to get it done so I could show you guys because I want to make a snap frame, a snowman snap frame out of this same color palette and pattern paper, but I didn't get it done yet. So I won't get ahead of myself, but I really want to make one. All right. So the first one we're going to create, let's go ahead and start with this guy up here. So I'm going to turn mine vertical, make sure that it opens, you know, to the left, like so. And we're going to grab this snowman number 7. And the way that you can tell is it has a little number on the designer template. So we are going to be using these 2 sizes, number 6 and number 7. And again, I'm just going to kind of place that on there, make sure I have all my pieces I need. It really does help kind of do that. We could trace them all out onto these pattern papers, which I've done that before as well, but I really feel like this is a good process to learn, kind of really using them as that visual tool and designing with them, because this is how I created them in the first place. It really kind of inspires you along the way, right? All righty. So that's pretty easy. That's it. So let's start cutting them out. Yeah, Isabel, absolutely. I went to Hobby Lobby because it was near me, but use your scraps. I'm a big believer in using what you have. So the great thing about these cards, it doesn't take many papers to build them up either. Not at all. So I'm sure you have the scraps of paper to do that. Okay, so now let's go ahead and grab one of our white cardstocks. And I'm just using like a 65-pound cardstock. So I personally like 65, 80-pound. I print on 65, so I tend to buy that. I do love an 80-pound cardstock though, but it's not great for printing. So usually when I buy in the 8.5 stack, it's the 65-pound. All right, so of course we're gonna go ahead and cut out our 2 circles. I'm gonna just do them at the same time in white. Unless you want to build a different kind of snowman, by all means. I can't wait to see what each of your guys' versions look like. So have fun, play to create your way. Like I said, I think it's so much fun to see whether you created one similar, which nothing handmade is going to ever be the same because it was made one by different people. Or if you use your own scraps of paper that you have on hand, or different styles that you like, or different colors that you might have. So of course I detached it from my paper, so don't wrestle. Don't wrestle with the big sheet of paper. Don't do that. It makes it way more complex than it needs to be. And then I'm just going to cut my circles out. Now, every time I cut a circle out, people are like, aren't you concerned that that's going to be imperfect? Because circles are really hard to cut perfect, and this by all means is not perfect. But you know what? I don't know a snowman that is perfect as far as roundness goes. But it's really, that ink is going to solve that by all means. So just take your cuts really slow. If a circle, because it does, you want to glide it through with your left hand through your scissors. So same cutting tips that we usually recommend with any design piece. Same thing applies to the circle. Just keep your cutting hands kind of still and stationed. So don't go like this. So when we say don't move your cutting hand, it's don't, I can't even do it. Don't go like that. That's not what you want to do. You want to keep your cutting hand stationed. I got to go back, trim this up now, and then glide it through with your other hand. Like so. Okay, perfect. I'm trying to cut slow so we can all cut along with each other. Oh, Tammy says they got about 3 or so inches yesterday in Michigan. Brr, Tammy, how cold. So if you want to flip this over, if you're using white cardstock and you don't want to ink it, that would eliminate the pencil marks, which I do have. You could just flip those over. If you like the little bit of inking edges, I like that little bit of, I feel like it gives it a little bit of like a vintage trend to it. I'm going to quickly ink mine. Now, whenever I ink white paper, here, let me see if I can show you guys this. There's a couple ways that you want to pay attention to when, especially if you're using a dauber. If you're using a sponge, I think the same thing applies. If you go more to the top, see how it gets darker? So I'm going like on the top of my paper. If you go on the edge of the paper, it just kind of gets the edge, but not so dark. So if you want it not as dark, then don't go up on the top, go more vertical to it, right? Sometimes even on with them, because I don't want, unless you really want it dark. But for me, I don't want it to really stand out, and it stands out pretty good on the white whenever you're inking white. So I tend to stay right on the side when I'm inking instead of like more on the top, which I typically probably do more with my scrapbooking pages when I have like pattern paper and I kind of want that contrast to be more present in my inking. So I just kind of rub the edges. So sometimes you get it a little bit darker than you would want. It's just more of a motor skill. You learn it with the inking, but it is something to pay attention to. If you don't like the dark inking, then don't go from the top. Go more from the sides. Okay. Trisha, time to get that snowman template out. I feel like we're all going to be cursing ourselves though and bringing on snow. Usually here in the Carolinas, I think I was just talking to somebody that's lived here for 11 years. They're like, usually we get like 1 or 2 snow days, but we haven't had anything like that. We had a crazy snowstorm. Was that Monday night? Yeah, it was like 3 a.m. and the thunder was so loud, but no snow. But all of you guys, yeah, that live with snow, I don't know about you, but I prefer to build a paper snowman than a real snowman. Oh, it's one thing I noticed as I got older. I was thinking, I'm not sure I'm a snow fan. I'm not sure I am, which I guess is maybe, no, it's not why we moved from Idaho to here, but maybe it is. I don't know. I was about to say that. All right, so for the scarf and the hat, I matched mine because I wanted the snowman to have an outfit. You do not have to have your hat match your scarf or vice versa. If you want a red scarf, then do a red scarf. If you want whatever else, then that's fine. Again, I think it's key to kind of keep it simple. And just to show it in perspective, I'm using this 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, but if you're scrapbooking, if you're creating these with scraps, this is literally the only piece of scrap you need to cut these 2 pieces out, which is basically a 2-inch by 5-inch piece of paper. Okay, so it doesn't take many scraps to use the designer templates, and it's a great way to take advantage of your scraps of paper because you can just lay it up on any piece of size of scrap of paper and get a design out of it. So in this case, you want to hold this template down. They are a little bit smaller, and then just slowly trace around it. I always recommend keeping to the edges when you do trace out. You can even flip it, you know, just keep an efficient use of your paper. So in other words, don't go over here and waste all of that paper. That's one of the beautiful things about the designer templates and the Play to Create system for paper crafting is that you can really efficiently utilize your paper. Okay. Lisa, what part of North Carolina is your daughter? I have not looked at the weather report. I mean, we're in North Carolina. Maybe there's a possible snowstorm tonight. I don't know. I haven't really looked, to tell you the truth. I guess I better look. 12 inches, Patty. They got 12 inches in Nebraska on Monday. Oh my goodness, that is so cold. All right, guys. So again, I think it's really helpful to detach them. So you'll see me do that same process. So that's all we're going to do. So I'm going to keep chatting as we go. But if you guys have questions, let me know. Also, those designer templates were number 4 and number 2 on the hat and the scarf. Most likely those of you probably already saw it in the set and grabbed the right ones. Again, if you want them to be in different patterns or colors, have fun, do what you like. There are no rules. As long as you're having fun and enjoying the process. But don't overthink it. For whatever it's worth, do not overthink it, because sometimes that robs you of the joy as well. So, and then we'll just cut those. So with the thinner paper, you really got to, like I tend to pull my 2 fingers underneath. See how I'm holding that? Because there's not a lot of thickness, of course, to the paper. So you really, when you're inking those edges, you kind of need to hold it more in your palm of your hand versus like the tip of your hand, right? Which means you'll probably get a little bit of ink on your fingers, but that's okay. Janet, I would love all that snow. Janet, I think snow is fun and beautiful. Don't get me wrong, guys. I remember when my mom, when I was younger, we grew up in Vegas, guys. We didn't have snow, but I was like, Mom, I wish we could move somewhere there was snow. She grew up in Utah, her childhood. So she was very familiar with snow, right? And I remember we'd go up to Mount Charleston. She'd be like, no, I don't want to move anywhere there's snow. We can just go play in the snow and then come home. And I just always remember that about my mother, that she really wasn't a biggest fan of snow. And then, of course, we lived a few years, quite a bit of years in Idaho. And I think that last or 2 years of Idaho, it was just nonstop snow and ice, and it was just so much work to shovel the driveway. And I just felt like this is why my mom probably didn't like the snow. It's so much more work when you're got to take care of it and drive in it and all of the above, but it's so fun when you're young. I do love to go and play with it, and she probably was right. It's one of those things that you like to go play in and then go home when you don't have to take care of it. It's kind of like babies that way too, right? You just heard Lynn Johnson. I haven't heard that yet. I don't know. I mean, I saw my sisters Marco Poloing back and forth. Maybe it did snow in Vegas. Who knows? Usually they are pretty good about reporting me on the weather. I don't know why. It's just like common chat in Marco Polo for some reason. All right. So how is everyone doing? Now, for the extra touch, just to make it a little different, I want to show that. So if you're going to add stickles to the top, I wouldn't do that till the end because it will get wet. But if you want to maybe add like a little cute brim, so if we want to add maybe a brim to this, let me show you guys that because I didn't do it on any of my samples here. But if you're wanting a little bit more character, or you're in the mood to just kind of take it one step further, you could take maybe like, I'm trying to think, I do love the teal feel. Let me see here. Or maybe a touch of red. I'm gonna go teal on mine. Keep it kind of, like I said, he's got a coordinated outfit here. He's going for it. So you could just take it to the edge of your paper and just trace out that trim part. Whoops, I moved my paper, right? And then where the top is, you'll just kind of use that guideline with your scissors. So let me trace that piece out or cut it out. This will just add a little bit dimension. You can use some pop-up if you want, if it's not too thick, because if you're going to mail these, I really try to keep any of the more bumpy, embellishments off of it. And sometimes pop-up can do the same thing, so that you don't have to pay extra postage when you're mailing them, right? But pop-up doesn't usually. I've actually mailed lots of cards with pop-up, but again, I think it just depends on how thick yours are. These ones are only like a 0.25 in thickness. So these are the ones I typically use. So these are fine. If you're doing like a 1/2 inch or something like that, you might want to be okay if you have to ship it. I think it's kind of fun. All these places that are snowing, it's definitely still the season. So we are going to make these cards and send them out to brighten the world up, especially even though we're all saying how fun snow is. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes January, February with the winter blues, it's real. It starts to get pretty real as far as the holidays are over and everything else. And with COVID and the rest of the things we've all been dealing with in 2020, I feel like more than ever, we could all just use something to really make us smile. And look how cute these cards are. They do not, I mean, they seriously make you smile. They make me smile. So, alrighty. Okay, let's go ahead and finish this card and then we'll move on to the next one. So on the corner of this, we want it to come off of our card a little bit. So we're going to trim that up. So I'm going to put it down in the corner, but I'm going to have it overlay off of my card, right? And then we're going to flip the card over and trim that right up. And now I'm just going to, again, add a little ink from the edge. Same thing. I want to adhere my pieces down before I do the doodle sheets so that it doesn't move on me. It's kind of my thought process on here. Okay. Now, you don't have to put the hat on and things like that if you don't want to yet. I think I actually will put my hat on. So again, then I can get my spacing right on my face when I draw my snowman face on. Cute. So now we're going to take our doodle sheet and, you know, a thin black pen. Hopefully you have a fine point pen around. I always like to test my pens before I utilize them on my project. All right. So on the hands, you could color the hands in completely. I just did an outline of the hands. If you want to color them in, then you can definitely do that. So I'm just going to lay my first hand up on the right side for you guys here. And I'm just going to doodle that onto the base of my card, which is also why this pattern worked really well, because it wasn't too dark that these doodles wouldn't show up, right? So these are for doodling. You can use them as a stencil, which we're going to use the bow tie later as a stencil, where we actually trace it onto a piece of paper and cut it out. But these other pieces you can use just to doodle on. So same thing with the face. Okay, so I'm going to use this face right here, this middle one, but I'm not going to use the button nose. I want to use the carrot nose. So I'm going to kind of mix and match mine up. Also, oh, if you wanted to do the waving of the hand, I could have done that one on the left side. You could doodle the hand that has the elbow bent and it kind of waving along the edge there, right? Okay, so simple to do. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and I'm going to do the eyes. If you want to use enamel dots for eyes, you definitely can. It's completely up to you. Because I'm going to do the carrot nose instead of the button nose, I'm going to pull my face down, my smile down a little bit more than what is on the doodle sheet. Okay, so I'm going to pull that down. And then I'm going to go ahead and fill in all of those doodle holes. Those doodle holes. I'm going to doodle in the holes, whatever you want to say. Too funny. Okay. And you're going to notice later on my cards, I just decided to do a straight smile instead of the dotted smile. So you can have a lot of fun with those and play different ways with them. For the belly, we'll come, I want to put my scarf on first. So we'll come back to that one. Actually, let me go ahead and put my scarf down. How's everyone doing? Did everyone finish their first card basically? Hopefully you guys are, I'm not going too fast for those of you that are creating along with me. And again, you can create multiple of these. You're gonna have plenty of paper if you did use all the paper. But I think that's kind of fun, like I said. You know, think of like 9 or 10 people and create some quick, simple cards. It doesn't take long. And it'll be a fun surprise, something that nobody might not expect in the mail. All right, so for the nose, basically you're just gonna use some orange paper. If you wanna use it like an orange marker or something like that, you could just doodle it on with a marker. If you want to use it as a stencil and cut it out of paper, then basically you just line it up on your paper. If your pencil's more sharp, it helps, like sharper, because it gets to the edge. I think mine's pretty sharp, so it'll be fine. Or like a, what are those called? Automatic pencil, or what is it called? Why am I spacing it? Anyways, so you cut a little piece out and then do a little detail work with that nose. It's not too complicated. Kind of gives you that little itty bitty carrot nose. Right. So you can do that or just cut a rectangle too. If you're not doodling it straight on, like I would just cut, like if I had this paper, you could even just, right. But if you like to doodle with like markers and stuff, then pull that out and you can doodle that on there. A mechanical pencil. Thank you, Mary. I'm like, what is it called? Yes. Okay, So that is our one guy down. And let me grab my, well, you could use liquid, like just liquid glue. You don't even need anything fancy. I have a liquid pen, not sure where that is, or just like liquid glue. For example, this thing right here. And I'm just gonna add a little to the back of my nose. Oh, I'll do this one. And place it down. And we'll let that one dry for a moment. If you want to put the stencils on, usually I put the stickles, on at the end, and I just put them to the side and let them all dry. All right, one card down. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Hopefully I'm not going too fast. And we're gonna grab the designer templates we're gonna be using for this one. We're gonna be using the small circle, so number 5, and the medium circle, number 6. All right, we are gonna be using the scarf again, which is number 2. Number 3 is the hat. You can change up, it's your snowman. So if you wanna change up what hat the snowman's wearing, then feel free to, no biggie. And, or like if you like that hat, then do that hat, or you could do the small little beanie hat, kind of like I had there. So you guys can kind of decide what works for you, right? All right, and then the tag. Now, when we created this free printable, put a couple different options on there, just so that you can kind of choose. And again, you can create multiple different cards. If you even wanted to stick one of these tags on the inside of this card, even though you didn't create with it, could be really cute as well. Like even though you didn't create with it on the front of the card, it could be cute on the inside of the card, a way to use up some of these printables that come on this full sheet. So we have a thank you, we have a winter greetings, a winter cheer, a joyful, and so you're just gonna cut one of those out. So I'm just gonna personally, I'm gonna cut out one of these winter greetings, since I did the winter cheer on the other one. And just follow that little tag guideline there. And that will give us our other piece to kind of build up around that sentiment as well. All right, and then I'm gonna, it's kind of like habit for me now. When I cut something, I just pick up my ink and ink the edges. All right, so that's gonna go right there. So when we do the scarf, I just make sure to tuck that right in there, right? So just something to kind of pay attention to. I wanted to make sure to mention that in case one of you guys are ahead of me. Okay, all right, let's start the process again. It's design, trace, cut, ink, replace. Same steps here, guys. Nothing crazy fancy, but it's pretty effective and cute. The finished results are. So I'm going to start by tracing out my snowman heads again. So I'm going to take both of these, put them on my white cardstock, and trace around them. Just kind of holding my finger and doing this when I trace, if that's helpful. So let me pull this up. So when I trace and I hold a small piece, I just kind of go to my finger, and then I pull my hand up and then trace the other side. And then I always detach. I always make sure to mention that because it's the one thing I see most people do often is they just get so excited about cutting it out, they don't detach it from their large piece of paper. But then they're thinking, this is not simple, you know, it feels more complicated. And that's because you're wrestling the big sheet of paper. It's no fun. You have to wrestle the big piece of paper to cut out the details. So again, on the circles, if you're concerned, just slow down your cut and glide the circle through with your left hand, especially these round designs. That's really helpful, like the flowers or the circles, like anything like that. That's just kind of do that. And over time, I promise, it will be like riding a bicycle. But if you're just kind of learning the new muscles skills again, you definitely want to be intentional, more mindful of what are you doing, and then trying to autocorrect it. Okay. Okay, and then just ink those up again. If you don't want to ink your white snowman up, then just flip them over. Like I said, I like the ink because I think it helps even with the colored background to have that slight contrast in them. And I think that it gives just that little bit of a slight vintage feel to it. So on these ones, I use the teal hat. Again, I kept mine matching here. But you can do what you want. And as far as those sheets go, it really, again, doesn't take much. So we're just going to take our hat and our scarf. Typically, I'll say, okay, what colors am I cutting out of what? And then do that together. Well, when I'm creating cards, it's easier on cards to kind of itemize like what patterns to cut what as far as the layers go. But on layouts, usually I balance it. So I pick one thing on the left side and then I pick one thing on the right side of my layout. But that's another day for another class. So, okay. All right, so how is everyone doing? Ooh, Lynn says she used a light blue ink to make them have that little bit of more of a freeze look. I like that idea, Lynn. So excited to see pictures, you guys. Make sure that after you guys are done, to be posting some pictures over in the, either on kiwilane.com, our community, which by the way, guys, we're working on getting an app done in March. I'm so excited, and we're going to be really trying to utilize our community over there more often, but we have a couple things we need to optimize on the website, and it'll be a lot easier and more friendly user with an app, like an actual app that can be on your phone. We're excited about that. Anyways, or you can do that over in the Play to Create Kiwi Lane, the Facebook group here on Facebook. So make sure to share with us when you're done. And if you use the hashtag createkiwilane.com, anytime you share something in the community or here on social media, Facebook pages on their accounts versus our accounts. If you use hashtag create with Kiwi Lane, we have, we do giveaways every month, and every beginning of the next month, we announce 3 winners for a $25 store credit. So we just, every month we like to choose winners from those that, you know, share what they created with us. So, and the reason why we ask you to use the hashtag create with Kiwi Lane is just so that we can search them. And when we search them, it will break it up by dates. So like it will show us everybody that posted in the month of January, for example. And then we pick 3 random winners. So if you're not already encouraged to find a little bit of time, to make a little bit of time, because you don't find it, to create every month, maybe that little initial challenge to be part of the drawing each month will be fun. And for any of you guys that are Kiwi Club members, hopefully you're already inspired each month to pull out, and when you get that kit, to sit down and schedule some time in to create every month. I know how rewarding that is for me. Just like I was sharing at the beginning of this video, that it's Wednesday and I'm like, oh my gosh, I could really use a little pick me up to get me through the rest of this week. And creativity has a way of detoxing and disconnecting you and just re-centering you. It really is so like, what's the word I'm thinking? I'm going to think refreshing, but it just re-energizes you. It almost recalculates everything. And I think by Wednesday, we all need that a little bit. Okay, so which cards? That's fine. Sarah, we're going to use number 5 and number 6 on that. Okay. Perfect. All right. And yes, Karen, Mary just posted that. We'll make sure that video, once it's done getting live, you can watch the replay as well here on Facebook, and we'll make sure that we attach it to the blog. So you can also go to the blog and search Snowman Card, and you'll find that link that Mary just shared to you if you happen to lose it. So, and that's over at our website, kiwilane.com. All right, so now the next piece for my little beanie hat, I'm going to cut a little red one out. Again, just the littlest piece of scraps will do it. So I'm gonna have a lot of this 8.5 by 11 paper to play with, but and any of you guys that are making these cards from your scraps of paper, I just really like to point that out, that that's even the littlest piece of scrap sometimes. Keep them all organized because you don't throw them away. I don't know how many of you guys saw the last crafting episode that I shared that I'm using the little storage cards for organizing my scraps of paper. It's really been useful. Talking about searching on the blog, you can search for that on the blog, that last crafting event. If you missed it, you can catch the replay over on our blog at kiwilane.com. Just go in, like, up to the magnifying glass and search organizing paper or organizing. It'll throw up like a lot of different blog posts, but you'll find it in there. So even the littlest small scrap, for the most part, you can create something with it. I love how Alice just jumped on and she was like, hello from sunny California as we're making winter snowman cards. That was great, Alice. So that's awesome. Oh, good, Lori. She said, I watched your video about saving scraps and started organizing mine. Good. Yeah, that took me probably, well, I used a Sunday evening of mine to organize my scraps. I just sat down and started trimming them all up, and that, luckily I only had those 2 bucketfuls of scraps, because if I had more, it would have probably took me longer. But so good luck. I'm rooting for you. Okay, so I'm gonna, again, adhere mine down. I think it's really easier to make sure that it's not moving around when I'm putting on my doodle faces, doodling on my faces. I'm gonna start with the tag because it builds, everything builds up around the tag, right? And then I'm gonna add a little adhesive to my scarf. If you want pop-up, if you want to do anything pop-up, I actually wouldn't do it on the scarf because it layers behind and over in this case. So again, I'm going to put the end of the scarf right at my edge of the tag, if that's helpful. And then I'm going to tuck my circle right into my scarf, like so. If you want to put some pop-up on your hat, that could work. So that's just really optional. It's probably where I would put pop-up. I do love pop-up. It's probably my most used embellish. Like if I'm going to embellish something, you think pop-up, you're embellishing, but when it comes to accessorizing, adding pop-up to my accessories, anything I'm using as an accessory on my designs, whether layouts or not, I usually pull out the pop-up because it helps with that, taking just a basic layer dimension and putting it to a whole nother thing. All right. Terry Crawford, this is just a glue glider gun. I share this every time. I personally love, I do love these ones because I like that they come out in little bits, but I'm pretty much out of this. It's pretty much gone. So I have these ones on hand. I use that one when I need like non repositionable adhesive. I'll use this one. People ask me all the time. All of these are not cheap per se. Like they're $4 or $5 for the refills each, right? Like $5 for this. Like these refills are probably about $5. If you bought refills for the inside of here, it's about the same. I always recommend using adhesive around that price range, unless you really found something and it's, I think I found a $2 one, but it was like you could, if you placed down it was down. Anyways, because I've used cheaper adhesive and my pages fell apart within a year or two, I still have to go back from my albums from early on, like 2009, when I was trying to save money. And now my problem is I have to go back and fix all my pages. But I've used a 3L brand, this brand right here, for example, or the Easy brand. I've used this one for, I feel like it's dependable. I mean, all of these, I've used all of these ones that I just showed you for a few years, and none of my pages have fallen apart. So I'm not against other people's adhesive, whatever that is that you want. I'm just saying it's something to keep in mind when you use your adhesive. So I have a harder time kind of reaching outside because I'm like already dreading that I have to go back and fix some of my albums because they fell apart. Yes. Our Tuesday morning have been having the red ones. Oh, awesome, Karen. Okay, guys, let's doodle face. Sorry, I forgot where I was at. So do the eyes. Again, you can do enamel dots, you can embellish up, but honestly, I told you guys I like this simple, cute look. And I'm gonna do this round nose or this round face, but I don't want it to be a dark, I don't want to fill it in, so I'm just doing the edge of it on that one. And then for this eyes, I'm gonna do my eyes here. You could even do like googly eyes, but again, anytime you do that on cards, sure is cute, but it could add bumpiness and more postage. Whoops. So I'm gonna hand draw a face on this one. I kind of bumped it there, but that works. Again, if you want to doodle the nose on, use the doodling sheet for that. Or you can use them as a stencil. Personally, I think, honestly, I think it's just easier if you're going to cut it, if you're going to stencil out of paper instead of doodling them. I think it's just easy to cut a triangle out. So on this triangle, I'm putting this one down and this one to the side again. So I'm going to cut this one a little bit shorter. On that. And then we'll go ahead and hair that down. Is the red tape scrapbook.com brand? I don't think it's scrapbook.com. I think it's easy. It's scrapbook. Let me see. I'll click on your link really fast and see where it takes me. No, it's not their brand. It's easy. It's a scrapbook. It's just Scrapbook Adhesives, which is a brand on its own. Again, any of you guys that maybe have other close to my heart, or like, I know everyone always mentions this is adhesive I like, and I think they're all whatever works in that realm. But like I said, one of the reasons I love this is because it's kind of hard to see, but it comes off in the smallest pieces. And so I love that you can use it for big strips, but you can also, even if I wanted to, I could even use it for just this little bit of a nose on that. Yeah, one day maybe I'll get into determining what adhesives are amazing and we manufacture, but truthfully, we don't have a huge, we like to play friendly with other products. So I'm happy to always share everyone what products that I use, but I always like to keep things simple too. So sometimes, yes, I know I have like 3 adhesives on hand, but sometimes too many choices also makes it hard. But I think the biggest thing to pay attention to is that it's not too cheap of an adhesive. Because when it comes to making your masterpiece actually last pretty long in your albums, you want it to not fall apart. like the couple pages in my first album are. All right, guys. So I'm glad I moved that guy's hat up too much. I want it down lower on his head. Okay, so adding a strip here, you could just simply take the brim of the hat and we're just going to trace. I think the hat can use a little bit, whether you doodle some things on there or you put some stickles on there, but I'm just going to basically trace the sides of this hat, right? And I'm just going to hand cut that. So I'm just going to cut the edge, and then I know how, like, the width, so I'm just going to trim that width off and then cut across the top again. So that's all I did. Then you're going to have to add a little ink. I need to cover up my pencil mark there. I'm going to show you guys this one. I think it's almost gone. But see, like the smallest, like this little strip, I can use the tape runner for. And there we go. There we go. Alrighty, so we have that one done. I'm going to use the stickles at the end. I'm not going to do stickles details yet because too many times have I got it wet and then completely forget and then touch it again. Last card here. So we're going to take our last card base and we're going to design on top of it. Now I used Sentiments 2A right here, and you can put the other side A and side B, the side B on the inside of your card like I did here. And you could do this with any of the other cards as well. It could be cute to decorate the inside of the card. If you don't have tiny borders, if you are a scrapbooker and you bought this accessory set for your scrapbooks and you're thinking, well, I'm going to make cards because I already have paper and I already have the designer templates, so now I have what I need to make cards as well, then, and you don't have any of the tiny borders, which, by the way, I use the tiny boards on my scrapbook pages all the time. It's really, really fun. Then you could just cut maybe like a 1.5 strip. You need something right here that it makes the snowmans look like they're poking over it. So even if you did a strip, I think you would still get that same effect, right? For me, I'm going to use one of the Kiwi Lane tiny borders on the card. And again, that's Sentiment 2A, but any of them would work. It really would. I mean, you don't want it too deep, so you couldn't do one of the fatter ones, like maybe Thoughtful. I think there's a thicker one in Thoughtful. You couldn't do that one because, again, you got to have room for these snowmen to go into. Now, as far as the snowman bodies, we're going to be using number 5 and number 6 again. We're going to be using the small and the medium one. And so we're going to design the middle one, and then we'll go back into the side ones. And so we're just going to grab our sheet of paper that we've been cutting all of these ones out of. And I'm just going to trace those onto the white paper. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to just trace 3 of the number 5s because that's what we did here. So trace 3 number 5s and 1 number 6. And again, I always like to go like left to right when I'm using my papers for the most part. Okay. There we go. Alrighty, and then we're gonna go ahead and just detach this whole section out of my bigger piece of paper, put that to the side, and then just detach each one of those circles before I cut the details out. Oh, I missed some of you guys' comments. Hopefully I'll come back in a minute and check those out. Okay, so just go ahead and cut your circles out. Again, gliding it through. And sometimes I have to like backtrack because I went off of my line a little bit too. I promise it happens to all of us. But for the most part, it beats getting up and trying to figure out all of this stuff. I mean, I could sit down and within a minute have these pieces cut out. So don't be too hard on yourself if it's not the perfect circle, by all means, because I promise mine aren't. Unless you look at my samples and you're like, that is just horrible, then maybe it's just, you shouldn't cut out circles because you're just got a little OCD on circleness. But if you're looking at mine and you're saying, but why does hers look good and mine looks bad? I promise you're probably being too hard on yourself, because mine, I have to slow down on the circles too. I mean, I'm pretty comfortable, but at the same time, I'm really focusing on what I'm doing. But there's a lot of pencil mark there. It wasn't like perfect, but again, I think that's why either flip it or just add a little ink around those edges. But it sure keeps it very simple. And I like that I could sit down and just, like I said, grab the couple supplies that we started with, and you can really accomplish something really quickly. It's nice to just not be overwhelmed by so many options sometimes. But yeah, I really love to grab a couple sheets of paper, a couple designer templates, and just play for a little bit. Oh, sorry, it's Sentiments. I'm using Sentiments 2A, 2B is what I'm going to be using. The 2A is going to be on the outside, and then I'm going to, because I can trace them out together, will be on the inside. So I'll go ahead and just show that really quickly. So I'm going to show it on here because if you bought the big sheet, again, you could probably make multiple cards with this. But if you are just using scraps, really all you need to cut out the border pieces is just a 2.5 by 5.5 inches. So 5.5 inches wide by 2.5 inches thick on that. Now for me, whenever I'm doing cards personally, especially because I think I'm going to use all of this for my cards, I like to just go to the 5.5 inches and I'll just cut my sheet down. If you don't want to do that, you could just trace it onto the piece of paper. But if I know I'm going to be using a lot of paper for like cards, I like to cut those down so that I'm just working with a 5.5 piece of paper for my more patterns for my borders. So it just simplifies it just a little bit, because then I can just lay it on there and it's already to the width. So again, if you're not familiar with the borders, whether it's the 12-inch for scrapbooking or the cards, they do come with 2 in a pair. So this is side A, side B. I flipped my design. So instead of it going this way, well, on this card I did it this way. Honestly, it would not matter. Either way would be fine. So just to show you, I'm going to flip it to the other way. But you can flip them back and forth, right? And so what we would do is we just trace along the edge, match our piece up, and then I'm going to make a mark right here. And then I would just do, again, another straight cut. And then we'll cut it once up the middle. And in this case, because the card design only used one of the borders, that's why I decided to put that other side B inside of my card. Use both of them up. Also, another thing to pay attention to is the direction of your pattern. So for example, this snowman, I couldn't use this one and flip it because then my snowmans would be upside down. So, you know, and I need that straight edge so they're kind of poking up over it. You could do the wavy up, but I don't think it would be the same effect. So that one will go inside of my card. This one will go on the outside. So go ahead and ink those edges up. Kind of jump to the border here for a moment. And again, on these thinner papers, if you're using the thinner papers, which does not look as awful on cards and stuff, you just need to hold it. Like I got some ink on my hands, but otherwise I think you'll rip the paper. So just hold it for a brief minute. All right. We'll come back and decorate the inside of the card in a minute. Come back and decorate that. So let's cut the hats out. So for the hats, I am going to be using each one. So I'm going to be using number 4. I'm going to be using number 1 here on the top so that it's not poking up too much. And if you don't have bigger envelopes, I do have some bigger ones, so I can go a little bit bigger than my card. But if you're fitting it onto like I think it's a number 4 envelope. Oh, why am I spacing it? Which fits basically this 5.5 by 4 1/4 card. Then you might want to do like the small one here, you know, so that it's not poking up as much over your card. But that's why I chose to do it here, because I think it pokes up maybe like a 1/4 of an inch. But I have big enough envelopes that that shouldn't be an issue. So you might have to go up on your envelope a little size, I guess, if you have it coming off of your card edges a little bit, like this one too, how that's coming off of it. Okay. All right. I'm like, why does that look weird? That's because the two in the middle and the 1 there. Okay. So yeah, let's go ahead and trace those little guys out as far as our hats go. I wanted a little pattern here. So on this stripe, you could do sideways stripe or vertical stripe, completely up to you, but always pay attention to the direction of your pattern paper. Just be mindful of that. I was also thinking it would be really cute to maybe do another card. Like I said, you're going to have lots of scraps left over if you went and got these, to do more cards of the same styles. But I was thinking it could be cute to do a striped snowman. I don't know. It could be cute. It could be cute. Yeah, an A2. So yes, Lisa, that's what I was thinking, an A2 envelope. And then we'll go ahead and cut that hat out. Super fun. Sorry, sometimes when I get caught in the cutting, I realize I'm like not even thinking here. Crickets, just pure crickets, nothing. That's actually when the work, or when creative flow state mind comes in, is when your mind just stops thinking. And I think that's nice about creativity, is that you can kind of, you know, that's why it's therapeutic. That's why people say it's therapeutic, is because of the creative flow state that you enter in your mind, which allows you to stop thinking about everything else that's constantly bugging you. And it just focuses in. And then everything that you maybe absorbed, or the news, or children and all of their stuff that they have to deal with, or homework, or all of the things you have to keep track of, it just can start processing in the background, but not in the forefront of your mind. And it allows a creative flow state to happen and give your mind a rest. So it's really good for you, actually. So, alrighty. Next one, we're gonna pull out the cardstock. Where did my teal cardstock go? Well, I'll do my red one. Oh, it's over here. Put it in this pile. So I could do this one. You know what? I think I'm gonna add another pattern. I'm gonna do the plaid as the top of mine, because I want more pattern in here. So I'm gonna pull that one in again. So again, you can change it up if you want, but I'm changing mine up a little bit from the previous sample, just because I think a little bit more pattern would be fun in this case. So, all right, detach. Oh, Gwendolyn, that's so fun. I love that your preschoolers have fun with them. They could make really cute little tags too, if you gave them like a tag base and just let them decorate on top of the tag with a snowman. That could be fun. Yeah, and they're really simple for anybody of all ages. And it's super good motor skills as well. All right. And it helps their little mind enter a creative flow state. Their minds are developing so fast. giving their mind a break and hitting that creative flow state is super good. And as adults too, we have so much information, especially in the social world. We get on, I don't know about you guys, but I get on social media and I'm like, okay, I got on to do this. And then before I know it, I'm like, what did I get on here for? I'm like, squirrel, squirrel. I get all of this information thrown at me that I wasn't really on here looking for. And so we have a lot of stuff, a lot of information that our mind has to process, and it has to decide, what is it going to keep? What is it not going to keep? You know, all of that stuff. So allowing our creative flow state to happen, it actually helps that process along. So does sleep. Sleep also helps that process along as well. So one of the two we got to be getting. Both, preferably both would be good. I'm more talking to myself right now, guys. And I'm being funny. Hopefully you guys think I'm funny. Manita, any hope of a hint for February? Creative minds want to know. I'll have to think about that one. So where are we? Oh my goodness, we are January 27th. That is crazy. January is almost to an end. It is really crazy. Yeah, so for February, I'm really excited to share I'm pulling it out. Sorry, I can't even process. My brain's like in a whole different transitional thought. Then I'm like, what was February again? Because we're already on to March in our mind. So sometimes that's why it throws me off, because I have to think for a moment. Oh, cute. I love that. So on the boat, let me think about that. I'll come back to you. I got to get my brain to switch gears. Gwendolyn, any Valentine paper or templates for February? So to answer that question, one, Gwendolyn, I would never say that it's Valentine's paper, because anything we ever design, we try to keep very versatile. But I will answer your question that if you want to create maybe a page about love, which is what Valentine's is before about, or some people in your life that you love, then yes, with the February Kiwi Club kit, you could definitely do that. But Valentine is very, like, whenever we say Valentine, right, we have a certain thing in our mind or a certain image, and we really try with the Kiwi Clubs to keep them very diverse. But yes, so with my kit, I will tell you that I hate when I do this, because if I don't just show you guys, and it's like none of the tips or the insights that I give you are really helpful, because they're so broad. But I will tell you that I was trying to decide what to create with my kit, and I had some pictures of my daughters that I did a layout with, and it was really pretty. And then I had some pictures of my mother when she was passing away in 2019, which was really hard to scrapbook. And I think my samples took me extra long to get done in the month of February, which was this last month, I guess, when I did the samples. But and so, like, the loving memory, like, so again, this love, yes, it's kind of embedded into it. It kind of has this like flowy feel about it. Actually, I'm all over the place on the Kiwi Club, y'all. Just show us, Tammy says. It's bringing back a little bit of emotions. I'll be honest, you guys are throwing me off gear here, because it's bringing back emotions of me scrapbooking my mom's pictures, and it's throwing me off a little bit, tell you the truth. So, but it was really talking about therapy, man, doing my February Kiwi Club kit, because I chose to do those pictures, it was very therapeutic. So yes, and I love the pages. I love them. I'm so glad I did them, but they were super hard to do, purely for the fact because of the memories I was choosing to do with my kit. But I love the pages when I finished them. All right, you guys, how far are you guys on? Those of you that are creating cards with me, how is everyone doing? All right, so for the bow tie, you guys probably saw me use this as a stencil. So I just went and traced that out on the red paper. and put that onto the card. I was in another another topic of discussion there, but hopefully you kind of caught that. Now, as far as the strip and the hands go, so on the hands, I just cut those out. Personally, I just took a little piece. I'm gonna detach. It really helps if you detach pieces. And I just cut out a little oval. Like, I don't think it has to be perfect for the hand. And I just wanted the little hand so it looked like they were poking up over the border in this case, right? Like a little paper wall. It's like a little border paper wall here. Yes. Yes, Cindy. Yes. Sorry to hear about your mom. That's really soon, Cindy. I'm really sorry to hear about that. It was a little, like, I didn't expect it, like I said. Anyways, grief, any type of grief, whether you expect it or not, it really is hard. And yet I'm so grateful, like I said, as sometimes we avoid documenting those pictures, which for me, it was only a year and a couple months ago that my mom passed away. So it wasn't like 10 years or 5 years ago. It was pretty soon too. And, you know, not bad that I scrapbook pictures a year plus only ago. You know, typically we have pictures that we have longer than that. But anyways, so yeah, it was just really, really good to document them. Grief is really hard, but I'm so grateful for the memories that I have, right? So it's kind of this bittersweet thing when you're documenting something. I was emotional, but I also was like emotional, happy, right? That just grateful that I had her for how long I did have her, and that every day is precious. Every day is precious because you just never know. So I would have loved to have her longer, no doubt, but I'm grateful for what I did learn from her and have with her so far. So, all right. So everyone's on to their embellishing part, did I hear? I use the feet from the gnome kit for the gloves. Yes, Nancy, awesome. If you have the gnomes from that Kiwi Clip kit, that would work. I think it would be perfect. You could do a circle. I think the oval, I cut a circle out. I punched a circle out when I was testing these ones, but I feel like it needs to be a little oval. So the feet would absolutely work. It would. So again, my process is I'm going to adhere these down because I think it helps before I trace on. The other thing I will mention is to cut this in half. If you already adhered it down, it's fine too, but you'll notice that mine was poking out a little bit under there, and I just don't want to deal with maneuvering that. So I'm just going to pull my border up to the edge here and then start placing that down. And it helps me figure out spacing goes, because then at that point I can put the head on, the hat. All right, so for all of you that are waiting anxiously on the Kiwi Club, before I just switch gears on you, the kit is called Cherry Blossoms. It's a cute, super cute kit, and it has a lot of use to it, but that is the best hint I can give you. It's called Cherry Blossoms. So let's just say if you had cherry blossom pictures, like if you guys went to DC or anywhere like that, which I would love to do, just not going to do it right now. Those would be really pretty with this kit in February, but I didn't do anything like that. I chose, like I said, pictures otherwise. So there is your hint. Yes, Cindy. I will actually, one of the crafting events that we have scheduled for the month of February, I wanted to guys share more about my experience of documenting my mom's page. So I won't get into it too much. I'll save it for that next crafting event. I had some thoughts and ideas that I had when I was doing it that hopefully are helpful to you guys. If you're like trying to document or journal something, I had an idea that I want to share with you guys, but that is another crafting event for another day. And again, I want to strip on my hat. So I'm going to just go ahead and trace this top of the hat here. So again, I just you could cut a strip and do it afterwards. I like to get the width at least, and then trim up and then over. Doesn't have to be perfect again, I don't think. So just a way for me to get that width a little bit closer to what I need. Okay, well, let's not have hearts that hurt. None of that, guys. See? Oh. Like I said, though, it is a bittersweet. Grief is really hard, and it's something we all have in common. I always say that. In other words, grief, whether you lose someone for whatever reason, whether age or anything, we all experience some type of grief one time or another in our lives. And it is something that we can all relate to and be empathetic towards each other. The other thing that I always say that we're all alike on is getting older. I know that's totally random, but that's kind of my approach to birthdays. Some people tell me, well, that's because Susan, you're not old. And I'm like, I don't know. I hope that I always have that outlook on birthdays. It's something I can't control. And it's something that we all have to do. We all get older. We all have to get older. So you might as well celebrate every birthday and not dread it, because you're not anything different. You can't stop it. And so you just embrace each year that you get, because one day, unfortunately, we all will pass away as well. So embrace every birthday that you guys get. It is something to celebrate. Do not dread them. Yeah, that's my outlook on that. That's how I approach birthdays. I have lots of friends that are always like, I hate that I'm turning 40, or I hate that I'm turning 45. And I'm like, just celebrate it. Nothing you can do about it. Not one piece. All right. How is everyone doing with your cards? They are super fun. Like I said, we just had some serious conversations here just for a moment. And now all of a sudden I'm just back into my happily smiley snowman cards, and I feel happy again because they just have really big smiley faces on them. They're so much fun. Is anybody doing anything different, like for your eyes? Are you guys kind of branching out with enamel dots or googly eyes? I'm just curious. I'm keeping mine simple for the face. The fact of just wanting it to be simple, but super cute. And you could do a few buttons. Like if you wanted to put some buttons, maybe I will on this card. That could be cute too. I think I'm going to do a drawing line, keep not all of them circle. And because they were so close to each other, that's why I decided to do that. Oh no, I just got a little pink thing on mine. You could really have fun with those smiley faces though, I think. But yeah, so let me see what buttons. There is a little poinsettia thing down here you could play with. I didn't quite use those on mine. If you wanted to. Some of the samples in the shop for this set does have it in use, which is really cute. I'm going to put little buttons on this guy and see what that looks like. Hope I hear the rain starting up outside. Oh, it's kind of cute. Okay, and let me cut out a couple noses because I want my nose to be an orange. But if you guys have markers, you could doodle them on, or like you could do a black little button nose if you wanted to. I hope I cut that one too big. That's the problem. Cute. Just a little bit of touch of color really makes those come alive. It's like the little We should be listening to Frosty the Snowman. Frosty the Snowman. That's it. That's as much as I'm going to sing. Oh, Lisa, yeah, those little tiny ones. I think I know what you're talking about. They are really cute. You can use a little, and you can change your, nose to go different directions, all of the above, different places. Okay, and then as far as the glitter goes, I use the little stickles. I use silver and red. So if you want to add that here at the end, it is great. It adds the little dimension, but not the thickness, like same concept if you're going to ship it. But stickles, any kind of texture like that, does not add more postage. So I actually really like pulling out just basic color stickles. I use a lot of this silver because if you put silver on like colored paper, it just kind of gives it a little bit of, it doesn't make it too contrast. So, all right, guys. Well, hopefully everyone is kind of up to speed with me and for like you able to create the cards. And you can see if you were doing multiple cards at the same time, you would be able to create the same card and kind of do like a, put them on a belt kind of thing, but they're really fun. They're really, really cute. And they definitely do what they're meant to do. And I think that is to spread a little joy, to brighten somebody's day and put a smile on their face and let them know that you care about them. And I think that's what's great about them. I'm going to put my little card on the other bee on the inside of this card. Again, you could do the same thing on any of these other cards. You could decorate the inside, but I'm going to utilize this side bee and put that on the inside of my card. Like so, and then probably even take the other tag from the printable and put one of those on the inside too. It's a great place to add the other tag to the design is on the inside of the card. Okay, so stickles, I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit here on the puff of my hat. Oh, I think this is the one that's almost gone. Let me grab my other one. I put the stickles on the brim of the beanies and on the top of the beanies. So like for this case, I'm putting it just here at the top. You could put some here on the brim as well. I'm going to, because it's fun. And you just kind of rub it around. You could do it thicker if you want, but I liked mine just to kind of rub around and add just that little bit of shimmer. And you do want to let it dry for a minute. So put it somewhere flat and let it dry. I used red on the red beanie. I used red on these teal parts. I used the silver. So I'm going to add a little bit more here and to the brim here, just kind of separating those. I'm going to just kind of do a straight cross thing. And then I'll pull out the red and do that other piece. So using Wink of Stella, oh yeah, fun. I love this. I don't know why the red, it's fun. Just little details, nothing fancy. Usually keep the details, as far as extra embellishments or anything. My style is I keep it really simple, but you follow you and you follow your style. If you want to add more, or maybe you want to do a little bushy cotton top or something like that, there's lots of fun ways that you can kind of change it up and embellish these little snowman guys. Make them as fancy as you want. But that is it. That's all I did on those. So, hey guys, don't forget tomorrow I got to get ready, finish up some of the final details, but tomorrow we're doing our pre-release party where we're going to be sharing what we're going to be releasing on February 4th for our spring quarterly release. That event is tomorrow at 6 p.m. Central Time. So it'll be here on Facebook. We'll just be sharing the new product. We'll be sharing what's going to be coming soon, and we'll be doing some win it before you can buy it giveaways. So hopefully you can tune back in and join that event. And I can't wait, like I said, to see you guys. So please share your cards. If you get a chance to make some snowman cards yourself, do share them, and then don't wait too long to put them in the mail or to drop them off at a friend's or a family or a neighbor's house, whatever that might be, to spread that little bit of winter cheer and greetings around the world, right? It's a little thing we can do. So Tammy, you're so funny with the pre-release. Nope, pre-release is tomorrow. That is the hint for tomorrow, is come back tomorrow for the pre-release. We'll have the pre-release party and we'll show all of the pre-hints then. It's a lot of fun. As far as the snap frame goes, you guys, I'm going to try to finish mine up and then show you guys. My thought process was I did this Christmas one, which worked in my home decorations this year. It was really fun to have out on my mantle. So I'm gonna, of course, use the same pieces as far as the snap mat and the snap back. And I'm just gonna decorate the back piece of this with like a snowman feel so that I can have it out, well, for the remainder of February and January, because it's kind of late into January. I kept meaning to do it. But I was thinking I could cover the other side of these and do like a winter snow flake feel. And I think I'm going to use the same snap frame design kit, the Joy, and have, because I think Joy also works with the snowman, right? And then have like a cute, maybe 3-tier snowman with something cute. I don't know, but I really loved the color palettes of these. So I think I'm going to take the rest of my scraps of paper that I have, which I have plenty, and create a snap frame with it. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'll make sure to post it and share it, but that's another day, I guess. I need to get it done because winter's going to be over here soon, or hopefully we have a short winter. Unless you guys love winter, but I'm always crossing my fingers for the shorter winters. So, all right, guys. I'm sending my snowman cards as Happy New Year's cards. Nobody sends New Year cards. Oh, that's cute. I love it. Sending out some cheer for 2021. I love it. I will share it when I get done the snap frame and such too. And then you guys share your snowman cards. I want to see all the different types and versions, and or just your finished products. It would be fun. Okay, guys, enjoy the rest of your day. I will check back, and we'll see you tomorrow for the pre-release party at 6 p.m. Central Time. Thanks, guys. Take care. Bye now.